Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
And Carly R.
And today we're joined by our very special friend, Rebecca. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good, Becky. Doing good.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, dude, that's a dick move. That's
You started it.
I did. Where are you from?
I am from a small town in West Virginia.
What's the name of the small town?
I'm originally from Bridgeport. I lived in Lost Creek for a while. It's about 40 minutes south of Morgantown, where WVU is.
So you're full on Appalachian.
I am full redneck.
Why'd you move here?
So I have family in Virginia, so that's why I moved there after school, and then my sister moved up here, and she just had a baby, so I moved up here to be closer to my nephew.
You've just been incrementally moving on up. Virginia, West Virginia, and now the glory of Maryland. You're welcome. When were you first introduced to recovery?
So the first time I was introduced to recovery was probably in 2017 when my sister first started going to AA. I was an addict at that point, but definitely not ready to admit it. And she started having me come to meetings as a way to quote unquote support her.
Yeah.
To kind of plant that seed for me.
Dope fiend, you didn't do it.
No, I did not do it. I would go to AA meetings and then just sit there uncomfortably and then go get drunk by myself afterwards.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I didn't actually come around for myself for another couple years after that.
And how long have you been clean?
I've been clean for 4.5 years. My sobriety clean date is January 4th, 2019.
Fantastic. And with all that out of the way, we're going to turn it over to you to share your story with us, so take it away.
All right.
To the hills of West Virginia.
To the hills of West Virginia. So I'm going to start by saying that I'm nervous because I have been in my head about this basically all week. So I guess
it's not live. It's not like anybody's like.
I know, but so I came from a pretty fucked up family, as I'm sure a lot of us did. My dad was alcoholic. Still,
I was about to throw a dig at West Virginia in there. I was like, well, that tracks for West Virginia, but West Virginia is beautiful.
It is beautiful, but our fuck upness did not start until we moved to West Virginia when I was like 12. So I resent West Virginia so much.
Quick digression. I'm sure Eric has seen it. Have you ever seen the Wonderful Wild Whites of West Virginia, about the White family?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, they're crazy. Have you ever seen that? It's like a really like old kind of like inbred family from West Virginia. And it's pretty crazy.
They have like this weird genetic disease that all of them have. It's a super recessive trait where they're like have a blue hue to their skin. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, they're Smurfs?
Yeah.
Have you not seen that, Eric? Eric, I feel like you would have seen that. I'm pretty sure it's the Wonderful Wild Whites of West Virginia. Yeah. Anyway, so we
digressing. So like I said, my dad was active alcoholic growing up. My mom has a lot of mental health issues, and all of that really kind of spiraled when we moved. My mom's depression got super bad. My dad's drinking got super bad. And I was put in a situation where I kind of didn't have any parental figures. I was started becoming responsible for basically taking care of my mother. I developed a lot of anxiety and depression around that. I would come home and find my mom just like unconscious, either because she OD'd or because of a lot of mental health issues that she had, where she would just like pass out. So it became this thing where I just had this constant anxiety all of the time. I started, I guess, everything started with drinking. I think I was...
What was your first drink?
Jack Daniels.
That's so West Virginia.
Yep. I was 14, I think, maybe had just turned 15, and my sister and her friends had picked me up from my boyfriend's house.
That's going hard right off the bat.
Yep,
that's not playing around.
My sister handed me a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Good
I took a swig of it. I remember everything from like that burning sensation as it goes down.
Yeah.
The warm feeling that then like spread throughout my body. But the thing I remembered most about that is that my anxiety finally shut the fuck up for at least a little bit, and that's kind of where.
Traveling down your story, were you a whiskey drinker? Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We were rum. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were both rum. What about you, Eric?
I'm still reading about the white family.
Yeah, that's his job. He's the man behind the curtain.
So wait, someone named Subob? Like that's like someone's name? Like, have you met other people named Subob?
Subob? No.
Not specifically Subob,
like,
dude. But a lot of like
Appalachia and the South are totally there.
A lot of women will have like double names, and their middle name will be like their dad's name.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there will be a lot of
Deborah
like,
Jean, Ginger Lynn, like whatever.
Yeah, so
Ginger Lynn is totally a porn star, by the way.
That's not Subob. Like, you know, it's not like.
Well, Billy Bob Thornton. I mean, there you go.
That's a dude.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Daughter Penelope George. You know, like.
That's not a bad name. That flows.
I know.
Yeah, but
I'm just an actor. What can I say?
But what was your go-to? We got two
in high school.
2 rums and a whiskey. Just throw over your whole story. You seem like a gin guy.
I appreciated a good gin.
Ew, gin is disgusting.
it's like pine needles.
It's good. It's disgusting. It's made from juniper berries. Yeah, it's fucking gross.
I think when I was younger it was whiskey, and then when I was in my 20s it was probably vodka.
Yeah. Don't drink, everybody. It is disgusting and vile. And you're literally drinking poison. So just think about that next time you try and take a shot. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So yeah, I was 14, 15 years old. I took Jack to the face. And my anxiety shut up for the first time that I could ever remember. And I continued to just chase that feeling for the next 15 years. I always find it interesting when I go to meetings and people lead and say like what their drug of choice was, because I didn't particularly have a drug of choice. I would use anything and everything that I could to just not feel what I was feeling. I went through periods where I would use like specific drugs more so than others, but it was not a...
No.
I don't know that I would even say that I was ever physically addicted to any specific thing. It was all kind of more of a mental game for me. Not...
I would get different vibes like, oh, I'm really feeling like some hallucinogens. Or, who has the hallucinogens? And it's like, oh, who has the fucking pills? Who has the powders? Whatever.
Yeah, and
then you dump them all into one.
Yeah, and you dump them all into one, and you use them to kind of temper the others.
Yes.
So you can just keep
you gotta
this level of not feeling.
And you only get the cocktail right once in your life, and then you chase that dragon forever.
Yep.
You got the right amount of alcohol and cocaine with pills, with weed, with everything, and then you were like, oh my God, this is it. This was it. Oh, okay. And you try to remember it, and you were like, okay, it was 2 shots of this, 1 blunt of this, and it never worked again.
Because I don't actually remember what any of that
you forget it the next day. No, you have no idea.
So I used a lot of different things. I was pretty heavy into pills, Vicodin, by the time I graduated high school.
How old are you?
I'm 33 as of yesterday.
Okay, so we're all generally the same.
Oh, well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday. We are all the Oxycontin generation.
Yes.
We should just be Generation OC. That should just be the name of our generation.
Generation Purdue.
Yeah. No, I thought it was DuPont.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
So I also grew up in West Virginia during the height of the opioid epidemic.
Oh
there.
yeah,
So
that's
it
where
was
that was more like the epicenter of it.
Yep.
That's where they started it with
Yep.
like coal miners and
Yep.
shit.
So it was really easy to get my hands on basically anything that I wanted. I also have some chronic illnesses, so I was prescribed Vicodin and hydrocodone cough syrup for like 2 straight years.
Oh, that's
between
my
the ages
jam.
of 16 and 17.
Is that lean? Is that the like
Yeah.
the
Yep.
ingredients of lean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Promethazine and shit. Oh, that was mine. That was
So
was
that
I wasn't that cool.
that definitely
shocking, Eric. You weren't that cool.
Definitely started me on on the path of opioid addiction.
Oh yeah.
I also my sister is 2 years older than me, so she went to college again about 40 minutes away before 2 years before I did, and so I started going and hanging out with people I had no business being around. I started dating a coke dealer when I was 17.
No, of course.
He was 22, so that was super legal.
You women and your coke dealers. You know.
I mean, why would I pay?
It's smart. It's
Why would I
smart.
pay for things that I
I
can
know
get
it's
for
the way
free?
to go.
Coke's super expensive too. It's
Oh,
a good,
yeah.
It's a good investment on your part.
It's true. It's just a business decision at that point. Like you could look however you looked. It doesn't matter. You have cheap coke. And there you go.
Oh, he cheated on me all the time. He cheated on me with my sister, and I stayed with him because
Oh
he
my
gave me free
God!
Coke.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's a bit much.
it was. That's a whole drama. That
Yeah, we're not going to get
We're
into
not
that.
going
We're
to
going to
get into
glaze
that.
right over that
Yep.
one and keep moving.
point
Okay.
being, I didn't care because Coke. And so by the time I got to college, I was able to keep my shit together pretty easily because one, I was kind of rotating through drugs to.
Yeah.
It was basically my way of not getting "quote unquote" addicted to.
Can I ask where you went to college? Or are you a mountaineer?
WVU, yeah.
Oh, nice.
WVU, and then I went to grad school in Mississippi.
I feel like you would have loved being. You could totally be a mountaineer chick.
Oh,
This
I think you would have
this-
loved it.
This seagull over here.
yeah.
This
Oh,
seagull.
yeah,
You
yeah.
say the seagull's gonna go to the hills?
She could have. She loves the mountains.
I do, but
Yeah.
I like how like
that was
genuinely
never
you said
even an
that.
option.
Really?
Never even considered it.
Oh, that's such a big place, or like this area. UMD or West Virginia is pretty much where you go.
I mean, West Virginia is cheap as shit, even as out of state.
It's a good school
For party.
for some things.
It's a very good party school.
That's a great party
Yes, I know
school.
that. Yes. Anyway,
Anyways,
so you're mountaineering.
So I'm mountaineering, and I basically had a really bad come down from Molly one day, and I realized
Shocking.
that I was unhappy with like where it was headed. Like I knew that I was headed down a like bad road, and I decided then that I was going to stop using drugs, and I quit everything cold turkey, drinking, using, smoking like cigarettes, like
Just on a whim.
everything for
Wow. On a Molly come down.
on a Molly come down.
Shit.
Shit's real. Post Molly depression.
Post Molly
I'm
depression
sure.
when you already
I get
are super depressed. Like
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
it was
Oh yeah, because
kind of a kick in the ass, and I stopped everything.
all your
Yeah.
dopamine receptors are just like, we're done here.
And I already had limited dopamine. Receptors.
Yes.
But I stopped everything for like a year and a half. And that was all it took to convince me that I didn't have a problem and that I could manage it. So when I turned 21 and everything was, or when I was legal to do things, I'm like, oh, I can just start drinking again. I obviously don't have a problem. It's normal to come home and have a glass of wine or
Yeah.
a cocktail or whatever. And then everything just quickly spiraled back to exactly
Of
where
course.
it had been.
It's funny how such a short amount of time can fuck with your brain. Because at 20 or 21, like I know I was like, oh, I was just a stupid 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, now you're just
now
a
I'm
stupid
just a
21
year old.
Yeah.
Like, but I had gotten myself, I was out of my hometown where, like, I had all that depression and anxiety. Like, I had my own life, like, separate from my fucked up family that I was dealing with. And I thought that I could just be a normal 21-year-old who drinks and parties and doesn't have a lot of consequences from it. I ended up getting sick again. I have chronic respiratory issues and pulmonary fibrosis, and so they put me on cough suppressants a lot. So they gave me, I was on another like 2-month course of hydrocodone that I started then just mixing with my whiskey. And then everything just quickly spiraled back to where it had been a few years prior. However, I was still able to get my shit together, or keep my shit together. I graduated on time. I went to vet school.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I attribute a lot of that to the fact that I went to public school in West Virginia and I didn't actually have to work that hard to do well. Because if I actually had to like apply myself to do well, like I never would have done anything. Like I did the bare minimum. But I luckily was smart enough that I was able to do the bare minimum and still kind of get by and get into school, or grad school. In grad school, I fell into a group of people who partied the same way that I did, and it was all very normalized. My using switched from opioids to more stimulants, coke and Adderall, because we needed to be awake for ever.
I need to study for 100 hours straight.
Yep. At one point I had been awake for 96 hours or something obscene like that. And
I love when Eric chimes in. It's so great because it's just at the random time. Whoa.
And one of my friends had during that time, it was during finals my sophomore year, and one of my friends had attempted suicide. And I basically just messaged my professor and I was just like, I've been awake for 96 hours and I can't take this test today. And for some reason they didn't like question how I possibly had been awake for 96 hours. And they were like, okay. And they let me like take it later. So I don't know. But somehow managed to stimulant my way through vet school. When I graduated, they give you a DEA license. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Who?
The DEA.
What? Because you're a vet?
Because I can prescribe controlled medications.
You can prescribe fucking ketamine and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So that could have gone very badly.
Yeah.
But at that point, I actually stopped using harder drugs and everything just switched over to drinking. So drinking is ultimately what kind of took me down, because it became at that point noticeably unmanageable for me. I know that like looking back now, I can point out where everything was unmanageable years and years before it actually, like, I admitted that it was.
Yeah.
But once I kind of stopped alternating through things and kind of focused all of that into one substance, I realized that I couldn't control it anymore. Because what I thought had been controlling it was really just cycling and using different things and being like, I don't have a problem because I haven't used coke in 3 months.
Now, was it out of sort of like a desire for quote unquote respectability? Like now that you had graduated college, you're like, okay, I can't do these, but I have to maintain. So, alcohol is acceptable.
Yeah. So that was kind of it.
I'm sure it wasn't conscious at the time.
It wasn't conscious. And part of it more was that I was I had worked really hard and to get where I was, and it was something that I had wanted my entire life, and I didn't want to fuck it up by getting
in the realm of
getting
that.
my DEA license revoked.
Yeah.
So it was like a semi-conscious decision because I didn't want to risk my career over it. So I said, fuck it, I'll just use what's legal.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of started really spiraling. I continued to drink and party the same way that I had when I was in school, except I no longer had that peer group to deal with, so it became a lot of self-partying, drinking by myself. I also lost my entire support system, so my depression and anxiety started really taking off. My job is super stressful. I'm an ER veterinarian, so not only do we deal with really shitty cases, we deal with very abusive clients because they are in crisis mode, and we're the easiest people to take it out on. There's actually, side note, a really high rate of mental health issues and suicide within the veterinary depression. It's the it's the highest rate of suicide amongst any profession in the United States. So it's it's really common.
That's terrible.
So
because you're in the thick of watching the worst parts of something you love.
Yeah, and
that sounds horrible.
It's also things like compassion.
Oh, are you okay?
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
It's compassion fatigue, decision fatigue. It's dealing with the abusive clients all the time, but also being their emotional support. But it's also that we use euthanasia as a way to stop suffering. So it becomes a more viable option for us.
My God.
Yeah.
I never thought about that before.
Oh my God, I never thought about that.
But it makes so much sense.
Oh my God. Yeah, so you start to rationalize it for yourself.
So
oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
that being said, I got into a pretty dark place starting in 2017. I graduated vet school in 2016. By 2017, I was getting blackout drunk by myself every day. It was always I came home, and by the way, I work nights, so I'm getting plastered at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Yes. So I would be sitting at home, drinking by myself, basically sitting in my bedroom, trying to just make my brain shut up. And half the time it would work, and half the time I would just go into these spirals of
you're just
crying alone in my room, wanting to die. And that lasted for another 2 years until I got sober.
We are a stubborn folk.
Yes. So when I finally stopped drinking, I had gotten into a relationship with this piece of shit guy.
They're always a piece of shit.
No, they aren't. They aren't. But I like that you prefaced it.
Yes, they are.
No. So are you saying you're a piece of shit guy?
100%. Absolutely. Now I'm only 83%, but yeah, I'm still up there, dude. You're not great either. You're not you're a turd too, Eric. But I love you. You're my turd.
I mean, he does like turds. So
Touche.
Got into a relationship with a really abusive gentleman, and he would. So he's the first person who actively pointed out to me that my drinking was an issue, but he pointed it out in a way that was not caring about me, but pointing out how it made me a bad person, and it made me it fucked it fucked with his life, and he would use my drinking to kind of justify treating me like shit.
So he was just a sociopath.
Yeah, basically. And then that backfired on him because I just drank at him instead. And I basically, when I finally accepted and realized that it was a problem, was we had gotten in enough fights about it that one day I was just like, fine, whatever, I'll just stop. This isn't worth arguing about every day. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And that lasted exactly 2 days.
Nice.
And then it was this just cycle of hiding it, because we lived together, but my lease wasn't up on my apartment yet. And I lived my apartment was down the road. So I would leave work at 7 o'clock in the morning, go buy the liter and a half bottles of wine from the grocery store across the street, drink it at my apartment, and then go home. And I do that.
What kind of wine are you drinking?
Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio. Okay.
Was it a box wine variety or?
Sometimes I would either get the what is it called? The black box, or
I don't know.
Boda boxes are another brand of them.
Yeah.
Or I would get just the liter and a half barefoot wine, because I did not care about fancy at that point. Yeah. I just wanted cheap and effective. Yeah. But
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say it. Anybody who's listening out there, mostly white women, if you're drinking barefoot wine, you're a basic bitch. It's okay.
Oh yeah,
it's okay.
I was a basic bitch.
Not only that, you're a basic alcoholic.
I like,
especially if you're already listening to Podcast Recovery, you probably have a problem, but we love you.
I don't know. There's much worse places to get than barefoot wine. Right?
Wine is wine.
Franzia.
No,
or Boone's Farm.
Or you're not going to Walgreens and buying the Listerine variety at that point. There's lower places to go.
I always thought wine was bougie. You don't seem like a wine chick.
I drank Riesling.
Okay, yeah, that's another basic.
That seems like
that's pretty basic. Now, don't get me wrong.
Sweet. I couldn't drink.
I played slap the bag at plenty of parties, but
slap the bag and the bladders or whatever.
Yes,
wine used to be my Sunday routine during Ravens games. I would drink an entire large bottle during the game.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh.
And I had a huge Ravens wine glass that was hand painted.
I love you so much. I love you so much.
That's good.
That's terrible.
It was beautiful.
It was terrible.
It was a routine, and when we won, it was I got to do it again next Sunday.
You got to do it again next week. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, you're drinking your barefoot wine. You're hiding it from this guy. Okay.
Basically, eventually he figured it out, and he raided my apartment and found all of the wine bottles and receipts.
Yeah.
And looked at me and told me that I was an alcoholic, and that was, I guess, in that moment, it actually registered as true for me.
Yeah.
And I was just
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
And I started. He kind of gave me an ultimatum, and I went to my first AA meeting for me that night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at this Lutheran church down the street from where we lived. And I grew up Lutheran, and I hadn't been to church in 10, 15 years at that point. And for whatever reason, the regular room that they held their meeting in was being used for something. So it was in the sanctuary.
Okay.
So I went into
That's super creepy.
I went into this church. They had this big ass crucifix behind the altar.
Meetings in the basement are totally different than the sanctuary.
Yeah,
Once they're in the sanctuary, it's just why is Jesus staring at me?
I just sat
in the sanctuary though.
Were you raised anything, Eric?
Yeah.
No, you were just total,
Yeah. I got no quarrel with all that kind of religious shit.
Yeah.
But I sat in
we were talking about this the other night.
I sat in the back
Catholic
pew.
and Presbyterian.
Gotcha. I sat in the back pew. A homeless dude came and passed out on the seat next to me.
Glorious.
And they started talking, and I just started bawling through the entire meeting.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I cried through my first meeting
I have no idea what was said during that meeting.
Nope.
I have no idea what happened during that meeting. I know that 30 women came up and hugged me and like put their numbers in my phone afterwards, and I called absolutely none of them.
No.
And I continued to like white knuckle it by myself for another like 2 months before I actually ended up coming into the rooms, finding a sponsor, and working the program. In that time, I went to the emergency psych ward twice. What up?
Nice.
For suicidal thoughts and tendencies. But when I got there, I was able to convince them that I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to be alive. So I avoided having to be hospitalized. And
most people don't understand that distinction.
No.
Yeah.
And
there's a big line there.
Which I blurred a lot. But they basically sent me on my way with some antidepressant prescriptions, and I continued to drink with them, and was just super surprised that, like, for some reason it wasn't working and I still wanted to die.
Yeah, and somehow I'm getting way drunker than before.
That's actually how my boyfriend figured it out, is that I was drinking on it, and I got... Previously, I could handle drinking an entire box bottle, whatever, of wine, and like he wouldn't really notice because I would just go home and go to bed. Yeah. But then when you add the
do not mix psych meds and alcohol. It is don't do it. It is very, very
I was
bad.
just like plastered, like blackout. Oh yeah. Like not able to stand, puked in the living room, drunk, and he was just like, "Oh, you've been doing this the whole time."
Sorry, Jeff. Sorry to disappoint you.
So,
what was his name, Jeff?
His name was Alex.
Okay.
So needless to say, that did not work. And I had another breakdown / withdrawals / wanting to die. So I had to go back to the psych ward, and they just mixed up my medications, and so that was super fun. But it was a couple days after the second trip to the psych ward that I finally like stopped. And I had a really hard time with the program when I first came in, because it's one of those things where on paper I didn't look like what I thought an alcoholic or an addict was. Like even like coming and talking about it today, I got like, part of why I get nervous is because like I feel like I don't have that like exciting of a story, because it's like nothing big happened. Like I kept my job. I have a good job.
But like when we think of like what like the quote unquote exciting stories are,
they're
like
horrible.
We've heard a lot of them. Like they're actually like tragic.
It's
very bad.
And I'm so grateful that I was able to stop before it got to that point. But it's like, it made it hard for me to compare when I first started coming, because like I still had my career. I never got arrested. I never lost. I was never homeless.
Did you have trouble with that too?
Well, yeah.
Because I mean,
you're comparing him, because I the same way that you are, like maintained all the way through college and like everything, so it was like functioning. So I never thought that it was a problem.
Yeah. So it's.
What about you, Eric?
What do you think, David?
I don't know, honestly. Like, well,
look at my life. What do you think?
Yeah, you were probably like, "Oh, I'm fine. I graduated. I'm running my own business. I'm doing my own thing." But also, you were banging dope, dude. So know at some point in your head,
okay though.
Yeah, but
if it didn't ruin your life, then it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, it's what's the, like, if you really think about manageability, right? Like I don't.
Well, now I feel like a complete ass, because I came in and I was like, I need this so bad.
Well, no, but just think about that. Like, so like manageability can be like a really like messed up word for people sometimes. Like that was one of the things Tim and I talked about all the time. Like it wasn't my life was unmanageable. It was just mismanaged at certain areas.
So the way that my sponsor explained that to me, that finally made it click for me, was my life was on paper manageable. She had me replace the word unmanageable with unbearable. And that is when things finally kind of clicked.
Yeah.
Because
there's a surface management and then there's a deep management.
Yeah, because honestly, like, yeah, my life is manageable in the sense that I was able to keep my house, keep my job, keep that relationship until I finally got the courage to leave after a year of being sober.
See, you guys only set like 80% of your lives on fire.
Yeah.
I set the whole thing on fire.
But
I was like,
it's
fuck
not,
this thing.
It's not manageable to spend 2 straight years wanting to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So I think there's a distinction there though. Like I think there's people who pay for their drugs, and then there's people who will do other things for their drugs. You know what I mean? Like, you paid for your drugs, right? Like, and that's why you worked. Like, you had this feeling, like, yeah, you'd steal probably sometimes, right? Like, you might do something a little sketchy, but you felt like you had to buy your drugs. Yeah, but, like, I mean, Carly, you bought drugs, and then you would go to work, right? Like, yeah. Like, it's a different mentality, I think, when you feel like you have to, like... I don't know, because you still have this responsibility to, like, some sort of ethical code.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Because, like,
I've never thought of that.
so important to me, and why I had a Friday home group when I first started, because that's when I got paid.
That's fantastic. Good point, Eric. Never thought of that. So, unbearable.
But yeah, so my sponsor told me to look at it as how my life had become unbearable, and that made everything make a lot more sense, because I was getting so hung up on the idea of, like, managing my life that I wasn't considering all of, like, the deeper, like, emotional, like, trauma I was putting myself through on a daily basis. And I didn't think of that as not being manageable, but I definitely saw how that was unbearable if I no longer wanted to be alive. So that is when I started actually kind of throwing myself into the program. I had, it took like 9 months for me to like be able to even really start like working the steps to be able to kind of get past that first step of like really being able to commit to it. I have gone all the way through all 12 steps at this point.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have gained a lot from being in AA and NA. But I think the thing that I have kind of gained the most is I live a life that's worth living to me now. I have made amends not just to other people, but to myself. I've been able to start showing myself compassion and forgiveness, and have started working on being the kind of person that I respect and that I like. And that's been able to kind of transform the relationship that I have with myself and the way that I think about myself. And working the program has done the most for my mental health. I've taken the antidepressants and the anti-anxiety medications. I've gone through therapy more times than I care to count, and it never like it helped, but it never like clicked. Going through the 4th and 5th step, the 9th step, particularly the amends to myself with that, the living amends to myself with that 9th step, and then just working on that personal like relationship has been the only thing that's been able to get me to the point that I'm not gonna pretend that I no longer have depression and anxiety, but I'm to the point where I don't consider like suicide as an option anymore. It's not something that I like. Even on my like worst days, it's not something that I like go to. Drinking is not something that I go to anymore. I've learned how to kind of sit with those emotions and
live life on life's terms.
And kind of understand how to, I guess, understand that it's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to not be happy all the time, and it's okay to not be perfect all the time, and like to not put that pressure on myself to feel things that, or to try to force myself to present that I'm feeling things that I don't feel.
Because once you start fighting your feelings, then it I feel like it just compounds the problem instead of just being willing to feel them.
And that's where all of my I will say all of my using came from. Is like I learned from a very young age that it wasn't safe to have those emotions. And that my issues weren't as bad as other people's. So I needed to shove those down and deal with the more urgent issue of my mother, the other people in my family that had kind of more in your face mental health issues. So I just shoved those down, didn't deal with them. And anytime they would surface, I just didn't know what to do with them. So I would use to make them stop. And being able to sit with those negative emotions and be able to have them and it not be the end of the world is something huge that I've gained. And I know it sounds, I feel like it sounds like a morbid, like, piece of hope.
Love it.
That's
the title, Eric. A morbid piece of hope.
I heard it and I was like, I need to write that.
Yep, that's the title. That's the title of your podcast.
Nice. But
that's fantastic.
It's a good band name.
Like,
I know.
I feel like it's kind of a beautiful thing, though, to like not hate myself for having these like negative emotions and to be able to deal with them and know that they're not a permanent thing. So.
All right.
I think that's what I got.
All right. Perfect. Well, we definitely have some questions for you.
Right.
I need to listen to some metal right.
Please do that for yourself. That's a good thing. Would you like to go first?
Yes, I actually would.
Fantastic.
Thank you for asking, because I've lost a couple of my questions in the last like 10 minutes because we went over the whole managing and maintaining. So you're a member of both NA and AA?
Yes.
Okay. So what is, like, are you working both programs, like the steps in both?
So
you took one of my questions and I'm very happy about it.
I'm currently working, I'm on I'm going through them for the second time, and I'm doing the AA right now.
Okay.
I'm on step 11 for that, and once I finish that, I am starting the NA workbook over again.
Okay. To tack on to that, like, so is there, like, what's the comparison to both? Because I never actually have been to an AA meeting.
Oh, really?
Really?
What?
Really?
Okay.
Like, so is there a comparison? Like, are you getting something from one fellowship that maybe you don't get from the other? Like, what's that like?
So
real quick before you start answering, anybody who's listening, this is not like a comparison, like, oh, one is better than the other. We support both. Like, go to both. Go to whatever. Go to Overeaters. Go to Gamblers. Go to all the fellowships. We don't care. They all have little quirks and little things about them, pros and cons, but they're all good for, just find the one that fits you. Anyway, go.
So AA, you work the steps a lot faster. So it was a good way to kind of get through that my ass is on fire and I need to do this to kind of at least get somewhat mentally stable. AA, I will say, I have found to be a little more judgmental of outside issues. So it is like don't talk about drug use in AA meetings.
And sometimes that's from meeting to meeting.
Yeah, and it does vary from meeting to meeting. I will say, like, at my home, we had a clubhouse, the Unity Club. And
I love how AA calls them clubhouses.
It's
just funny
yeah.
to me.
I like that.
It's called the Unity Club. Like, it has like 5 meeting rooms and like a coffee bar and all of that. And they would have like mostly AA meetings, but they would also have NA meetings, CODA, adult children of alcoholics, etc.
Eric, your cat just threw up.
And like meetings there tended to be a little more open about everything, but a lot of people at other meetings and sometimes even in those meetings would be like if you started talking about drug use, they would be like, oh, that's an outside issue. And like, or even things like if you started talking about mental health, they'd be like, that's an outside issue. And I think that it's insane to try to like address I just hit my
God, you just devastated the microphone. That's fine.
To try to address just your alcohol use without addressing the big picture.
Well,
because it's so like intrinsically linked.
Absolutely. Well, anybody who has that opinion, they're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because alcoholism is in the DSM. It is a mental health issue. Therefore, if you're talking about other analogous or ancillary mental health issues, it is still in the realm of what we are fucking talking about in this meeting.
And all of my drinking and drug use was me self-treating.
Yes, like, one begets the other. 100%. How is that an outside issue?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sad, so I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
I can't talk about my fucking sadness.
It's also, I like the people who are also just like, I only did coke on the weekends. I wasn't a drug addict, so I just want to,
Or the marijuana. There's marijuana maintenance in some sects of AA, but like it is what it is. Like, I mean, again, it's manageability, it's unbearability. There's a whole lot to it.
Yeah, so I do like AA meetings because it is like that's where I started, and like
the Lord's Prayer creeps me out.
Oh,
they
God,
say the Lord's Prayer instead of the Serenity Prayer.
I hate it. They do both, and it.
Oh, they do both.
Yeah,
that's too many prayers. That's too many prayers. Cut your prayers down.
Every meeting with the Lord or the Serenity Prayer and the Lord's Prayer.
Wait,
that's a lot.
I thought you started the meetings with this. Like last time I went to an AA meeting, it was like you start with Serenity and you close with, and you have to hold hands, which I hate. I'm like, I don't want to touch your hands.
I know, yeah, especially post 2020. That's just reckless.
Oh no,
that's
we
reckless.
don't hold hands anymore.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Okay, good.
But
no, we don't hold hands anymore.
It depends. It varies like state to state.
I'm sure.
Like
yeah, it's different everywhere.
Virginia, we also do halftime where we do all of our
what.
We do.
That's your announcements. And
that's where we do our announcements and chips and everything.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it threw me off a lot when I came up here, and it was just done at the end. But NA, I feel, is more inclusive. It I definitely feel more comfortable opening up a lot about a lot of the quote unquote outside issues.
Yeah.
I do think that, in my own personal experience, it's in newcomers meetings for NA. It takes longer when you are addicted to harder substances to get to a point where you can really work on your program or work on yourself, and that's why the NA program takes a lot longer to get through the steps. It doesn't take that long to dry out. It takes
I like that.
It takes a long time to get your brain into a healthy state after using hard drugs for a long time. So
one is drying out of a sponge, the other one is trying to unscramble an egg.
Yes. So I have found that meetings where there are a lot of newcomers in NA, I tend to just kind of zone out because it's just a lot of people rambling for a very long time incohesively.
Yes.
Which I get less of at newcomer meetings in AA.
I know what you're... Okay.
But the NA meetings that I've found that I go to regularly, where there is solid recovery in them, are still very beneficial. I'm not trying to like knock NA or anything like
No,
that. It's
no,
just-
no. There's pros. Like I said, there's pros and cons
of
to
both.
everyone.
My current home group's in NA.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I got a frog. Sorry. Can you look at it for me? Ah, that's a vet joke. Frog met there. Okay, terrible. Moving on. Anybody?
as he crosses the front.
Wait, I'm jumping in. Since you're an AA person, how do you you're a woman. How do you feel about chapter 8?
To what?
Of the big book for the women.
Yeah.
I had an entire like 9-step devoted to Bill Wilson over to wives.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel? Like, do you not like?
So
It's very antiquated and misogynistic.
So it's very antiquated and misogynistic. Bill Wilson wrote it. He did not let his wife write it as he was supposed to.
He was supposed to let his wife write
His
it?
wife was going to write it, and then he wrote it instead. It bothers me a lot because I feel like it's an alcoholic telling.
That adds such insult to injury to that.
Yeah, it's an alcoholic telling their partners and their loved ones
What I need,
what
you need to do.
what you need to do to support me.
Yeah.
And I think that when it comes down to it, even like as a woman, it pisses me off. But even as an alcoholic, we fucked over our loved ones and our families so much that I don't think we should get there to sit there and make demands on how they should treat us now that we're in recovery.
Yes.
If you put someone through hell and not even like physically, but just like the emotional abuse that our loved ones went through, having to deal with us while we were using.
Yeah.
I don't think we are in a position where we get to make demands of them on how they need to support us in our recovery. And if they want to leave because we treated them like shit, just because we got sober doesn't mean that they need to stay.
That's a wreckage of our past, 100%. Yeah.
So I hate to wives. It makes me so angry.
And that's so much worse for me. Like, wow, I didn't know he wrote that.
Yeah. And my sponsor took it a little bit farther. Like when I was doing 8 and 9, he basically told me, he was like, you have to prepare yourself for basically the worst possible outcome of this amends, because if they're going to kick your ass, you earned it and you have to take it. Like any sort of tongue lashing that you're going to get, you earned it. So there is no fighting back. There is no like, yeah, but no, that like, this is what you did. And now this is their time. And most of the time, like pretty much, I think like 99% of the time, it went fantastic. But there were definitely some conversations where it's like, you fucked this up, and so you kind of have to eat that.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be a round robin fun question for everybody, but we're going to start with you, Rebecca, since you are a vet. What is your favorite dog and cat breed?
Ooh.
So dogs, I'm going to preface this by saying I do not think that they should exist, and I think that breeding them is unethical.
I see where you're going. Okay.
I love me an English bulldog. They're so wrinkly and potatoey and stupid.
Yes.
But they have so many health problems.
They have so many health problems. They can't breathe. You know.
I adopted a 7-year-old bulldog last year, and she is the love of my life.
They are super sweet.
She is so stupid. And so squishy. And her tongue can't stay in her mouth.
Oh, yeah. There's so many problems. But they're okay, that's fair. And cats? Do you have a favorite cat breed?
Trash goblins.
Trash
all
goblins.
Of them. I love me just a feral ass cat that I pick up from the outside.
Yes.
Wait,
so all of my cats.
You call them trash goblins?
Yeah, that's where. So I got one of my cats from
just a street cat.
Literally, just found by a dumpster, and I was just like, she was called Oscar until we realized that she was
because of Oscar the Grouch. Yeah. Splendid. All right, Eric, what do you got?
Man, that's hard. Because there's the breeds I have met, and then there's the breeds I want.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I want a Savannah.
No, you don't.
I want a Bengal.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, they're so bad.
Well, Savannahs are crazy, but Bengal, right? I kind of want that. I think the Maine Coon's also another one
Oh yeah.
that I want.
Oh yeah.
If I had like out of the cats I have, I think the Tortie is my favorite.
Yeah.
Just
yeah, like the American short hair.
and I
Classic.
like girls more than guy cats, which is probably a hot take.
If
they're my cat.
I'm the opposite. I think female dog, male cat.
That's what I always had growing up, but since
Yes.
I've been an adult, it's always been male dog. Female cat.
It varies. It depends on whatever.
I like the bond.
They're
of a
all
female
individuals.
cat. Like they choose a person.
Yes, very much.
Where my like Elliot's just a whore.
Oh,
Like,
dude! Oh, dude loves everybody.
Yeah,
dude
exactly.
loves everybody.
He's not he will go for anyone's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then for dogs, I mean, like I like Luna. So
Yeah, yeah,
Also
Yeah.
like
A nice
women.
lab.
yeah. Well, she's not a lab. She's a
mix.
between
Yeah.
her mom was a golden retriever, and then her dad was a border collie German Shepherd.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she was a lab. Interesting. All right,
Lab.
Carly, I know you feel cats are suspicious.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
Yeah,
I don't like any breeds of cats. I don't trust them
yeah.
because
They are
They're
shady.
evil.
Yeah, they're shady.
They just wanna-
cats will take over the world.
they just wanna get
I
rid
hope
of
so.
I hope
It'll be a
not.
better world.
Squirrels will take over the world.
Well, I never had
Cats will never let that happen.
like I had caged pets growing up because my mom wouldn't let me have anything else.
So would you have like rabbits?
Geckos.
Oh, okay.
Do you have sugar glider?
Oh my god, I
No.
would love a
I
sugar
want one
glider.
so bad.
And
I'm
that
gonna
was
get one
because
forever.
we did have a cat, and then my sister shoved the cat in like one of those little bikes where you lift up the seat.
Oh,
She put I think it was a tabby cat, shoved it in and like sat on it and then rode the bike around. And my parents were afraid that after all the trauma that cat was put through, that it wouldn't be very nice to me. So we
What?
no longer had.
Is the cat okay?
The cat was fine. I mean, there's like
okay. Go to dog. We're gonna put this all in a box. What favorite dog?
Well,
I know you're a
that's-
lab chick.
I was gonna say I'm a little biased because I have two fabulous.
Okay,
boys.
okay. What about like a fantasy dog? Like what would you?
I've always wanted a husky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
a
right
lot.
there with you.
Yeah, it is a
a
lot.
lot.
It's a lot of hair, a lot of energy,
Lot of
a lot of everything. But I think now that I've had my chocolate lab and my black lab, I don't know if I
it's a sugar glider.
ever want anything else.
She has a picture of a sugar glider.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
What
Dude,
about
it's a
have you
flying
had
squirrel.
We had
they're-
geckos and we
they're
also had a
adorable.
parrot.
Have you had a cream lab yet? I don't want the cream labs.
No.
Cream?
Yeah, the cream
Okay.
labs.
Well, at first I heard it was Korean lab, and I was like, a Korean lab? I was like, okay. All right. But to do mine real quick. Yeah, I love all cats. Cats are fantastic. I gotta go Maine Coon. I gotta go Maine Coon. Or I would also like either like a Manx or a Scottish Fold because there's.
I mean, dude, you gotta stick with the Taylor Swift crowd. I feel you.
What are they doing? What
Scottish
Folds? Oh,
You're a Swiftie now?
Yeah, you're Swift.
apparently I don't know. Dogs. I've small dogs love Scotties. Big dogs. Irish Wolfhound, Scottish Deerhound.
Irish Wolfhounds look wild.
Oh, they look fantastic.
Celtic dogs.
Yeah, Celtic dogs. They're big, but they're such sweethearts. They really are. Okay, now a serious question. Dun, 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 dun. How do you treat your anxiety and depression in recovery?
What do you mean? Like,
I don't know. How do you has recovery helped you identify triggers and coping mechanisms? Is there anything specifically from recovery that has like crossed over to aid in those things?
yeah. So, first of all, I will say that
What a tone change. We're talking about cats and dogs now. It's like, okay, anxiety and depression.
So I'm going to start by saying that I've had a lot of opinions thrown at me in the rooms about whether or not you should take any like medication.
Oh my god.
And I will say more in AA than NA, which is amazing to me.
More in NA than AA?
AA than NA. I get
yeah.
the like pushback of like you shouldn't be taking any like mood altering substances, and I was just
You're not a fucking doctor.
You're not a doctor. I think that being clean, being sober, and knowing, like, prioritizing myself and my health allowed me to seek out an actual psychiatrist who got me on drugs that work for me to help keep it at a manageable level. Also knowing that I have issues with addiction and not giving me drugs. Like, I don't take like Xanax or Klonopin anymore. I take like maintenance anxiety medications. And
SSRIs, stuff like that.
But as far as how I deal with my depression and anxiety as it relates to the program, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. It being able to identify like the feelings that I'm actually having has become a lot easier. Now that I've kind of worked through the steps and kind of identified the patterns that I have and like the motivations that I have or the triggers that I have behind all of my like character defects and behind all of my resentments and all of that. So like getting like down to the base of that and understanding why things bother me and why things like create this anxiety, like if it's
the causality of our exact natures.
Exactly. And like understanding like, this bothers me because it affects my feeling of security or it affects my ego. That I've found is a huge thing, particularly being a female in the medical profession, feeling like I'm not respected. Like that is a big thing that triggers my anxiety.
Weird enough, on the way over here, I don't know why my brain got to this. I was like, why are male doctors bigger dicks than female doctors? I have always found that to be the case.
I don't like male doctors.
No, neither do I.
Because male doctors...
Neither do I.
Male doctors,
they have a god complex.
They have a god complex, and it has to do with stroking their ego and making money, whereas women tend to go into it for the nurturing aspect of it.
Yep. Any nurses?
That is a gross like oversimplification, and it's not all men and not all women. And
yes, obviously,
the opposite ways as well.
Absolutely. Nurses are fucking angels, though.
Yes.
Any nurses out there, you're amazing.
Vet techs too.
Vet techs too, absolutely. Hey, you're nurses. You're fur baby nurses.
Yes. But being able to identify what is actually the cause of those feelings, and being able to either address it or knowing that there's nothing I can do about it, the whole serenity prayer thing, and being able to kind of let it go. Has definitely been really helpful. I've learned a lot of like in the moment anxiety soothing techniques through the 11th step and doing the meditation, the breathing exercises that we that Martin has been having us do.
Are you thinking of the hilarious episode? Dude, Eric, like there were a few weeks ago. It was literally the worst fucking meditation I'd ever heard. This dude, like, he was like, feel it in your perineum. Yeah, do it, feel it. It was just like, this weird, like, hype video.
Through your perineum.
Yeah, and dude, we started busted out laughing.
Some dude just in the meeting?
No, we do a guided meditation. But it was by, like, it might as well have been by, like, Logan Paul. It was fucking terrible. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm just laughing.
Was it like what's that workout stuff people drink, like pre-workout?
Yes, it's like the dude. It was like a Zumba version of a meditation. Yes, exactly. And it was just. I started laughing out loud. Brad did. You like Greg? You did. It was.
I held it together until you opened your eyes and I made eye contact.
Dude, you were staring right at me. I was because I was like. And I just opened my eyes and you're staring right at me. And I was like, fuck, we're done. Like, no, the fourth wall is broken.
Usually if I'm giggling at something, you are also giggling at something. And I just wanted to not be the only one.
Dude, I'm like, I could feel the palpable tension because you and Greg, like, I could like hear you guys like having an embolism right next to me. And I was like, is this happening? Oh my God, it is happening. And it was terrible.
But yeah.
So lots of, following the exact natures and just how to counteract what you're feeling when you're feeling it.
Yeah. And
fantastic.
I guess also understanding that it's not a permanent thing.
Yes. What you got, Carly?
All of my questions have been asked.
You want to ask a donkey story?
You can go for it.
You don't want to ask it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Christina, in her story, abducted a donkey at one point.
Left her
dog, abducted the donkey, took it to a gas station, brought the donkey back. Donkey was fine, dog was fine. Just an absolutely ridiculous using story, but also entertaining. Do you have a donkey story? Something entertaining and ridiculous that happened in your addiction? I listened to the episode when you found yours, and
that was like more of an asshole story, though.
Yeah, but still very similar. It was along the same lines. I was shocked.
I don't.
It's hard when you're put on the spot.
It's hard when you put on the spot.
Episodes to finally figure out what
Yes, it took her a while.
And not everyone has one either.
Yeah.
No, not everybody.
I will say a lot of my using was like alone in my bedroom, so
that's fair.
It's hard to have anything that ridiculous happen.
That's,
I don't know. Like maybe you slammed a half-gallon of ice cream while rewatching all of Daria. I don't know. That's a donkey story. That's pretty entertaining.
No, it's not.
That's pretty entertaining, but also it's also sad.
It's not stealing a donkey.
No, it's not stealing a donkey.
It's not shitting in golf holes.
Dude,
it's like,
I'm not that person anymore, okay?
You were once.
You shit in golf holes?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Several times.
Yeah.
No, it's not good. It's not good. It is not good. Yes.
It was once.
I also thought it was once.
It was more than once.
Is this like something you like travel around to?
It was it was a game for a while. It wasn't just
you
me.
Just like to
it just wasn't
go to
me.
The bathroom anywhere but an actual bathroom.
It's terrible.
He peed in mailboxes too.
I did peel in mailboxes.
So you're pretty good at
I mean,
swatting,
I don't have any like
It's terrible.
ridiculous.
I was a malicious.
I don't have any like ridiculous thing that I did while using, but probably I'll tell you the worst like trip I've ever had.
Okay.
So I had done mushrooms. I was in high school. And I thought I was done. So I went to drive home.
No.
I went to drive home, and it's October, and so there are leaves everywhere, and there are leaves like being blown across the road.
Oh, yeah.
And my brain told me they were chipmunks, and that I was just plowing through this field of chipmunks, just murdering all of them.
And that's why I became a vet.
So I had to pull over to the side of the road because I'm just sitting there absolutely like
distraught.
devastated
Yeah.
because I've just murdered like 300 chipmunks with my vehicle. And then it like, again, it's October, it's windy, so like the chipmunks started like falling onto my car. And I just like called my boyfriend at the time, just sobbing. I'm just like, you need to come help me save these chipmunks. And he's just like,
what an amazing call.
I don't.
What? I don't know what to do here.
And mind you, he was also still tripping, so he was just like, I don't know how to deal with this right now, and just like hung up on me. So I just sat on the side of the road crying for like, I don't know how long. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 3 hours.
Yes.
I just sat in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, crying over these crunched leaves that I was just convinced were just
Amazing.
desecrated chipmunks. So.
That is amazing. That is 100% a donkey story and totally viable and amazing. And another
I
one of
stopped
hers.
using mushrooms after that.
Good call. Good call.
Killed tons of chipmunks.
Yeah. Yours, how you, when you were tripping, you saw gnomes, and now you have an obsession with
Yes.
gnomes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Were they talking to you as well?
They were doing a lot of things.
Oh, okay.
They had a little home in a tree that was in the middle of the lake, and they were just everywhere. And it was fantastic.
Nice.
But yeah, but that is where my gnome obsession has come from.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like in this like fairy tale storybook.
That sounds great. People don't do drugs,
Yeah, because it didn't last. It wasn't good the whole time. It got bad quickly after
it
that.
gets crazy and it takes you to the edge, and you might not come back. So don't do drugs. Do I have any more questions?
I can ask one actually.
Okay.
So with being an NA and AA, do you understand the whole addiction manifesting itself in other areas of your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Because I've been told that it's not an AA thing.
Yeah.
So it's not something that like we directly like you can find like in the literature, but it is something that I've talked about like with my other friends in AA and in NA a lot. I have been like an addict since I was a child. It's always been about finding a way to basically just like that serotonin rush, that dopamine rush, not feeling the way that I feel. It has presented, or just finding a way to like feel like I'm in control of my life and in control of something. Like it has presented in self-harming, it has presented in eating disorders, and it will be, I've had it present in like working out and like going like too extreme for like health stuff. I throw myself into my job and let it kind of control my life way too much. Like I just, because I feel like it gives me a sense of purpose, I guess. And it makes me like, I get that adrenaline, dopamine, endorphin rush with it. And I'm not good at doing much of anything in moderation. It's either a all in or not at all, just everywhere. And it's something that I have to actively work on and actively like check in with myself about for basically anything that I do, that it's not getting out of control and that I'm doing it. Even if it's something that is inherently healthy, like working out, you can take it to an extreme to the point that it's not and it's dangerous.
Or you're just spending so much time there, you're neglecting all the other relationships in your life.
Yeah, and like last year, that's how I injured myself. That's why I had a cane for like 3 months. Is I got too into like I injured myself during a workout competition or a lifting competition rather. So it's because my ego said I could do more than I could.
So. My wife still doesn't understand that because I won't buy like a lot of sweets or stuff at the grocery store because I will eat them all as soon as I get them
I won't keep cereal in my house because I will eat an entire box of it in one sitting.
Yeah, it's hard.
But my wife's like, well, if like we'll be in the aisle, she's like, and I'm just like eyeballing the fucking Oreos, and she's like, just get some Oreos. I was like, I'm gonna eat them all, and then you're gonna bitch that you didn't get any. Like, I have a fucking problem. I want to eat all the Oreos. Like,
and they're 240 calories a cookie.
Oh my god, are they really?
At least.
Not a cookie.
Not per cookie. Per serving.
It's like,
which has got to be like 4 or 5 cookies.
It's not 5.
It's 3 cookies. And it's 80 calories a cookie.
Now, is this the regular or the double stuff?
Well, double stuff. Like, there isn't a regular.
Thank you. Thank you. As soon as they invented double stuff, why did they even have the regulars?
Get rid of them.
Get fucking rid of them. You were a superfluous Oreo at this point. You are useless. your cookie
The
to
regular are less
your cookie to
calories,
cream
and I
ratio.
feel better when I eat those.
No,
Yeah.
but
Have you
they're
seen the
useless,
thins?
though.
Have you
They're
had one of the
I
thins?
haven't had.
Wait, have you guys
I have
seen the
had one of the
sandwiches?
lemon thins.
What?
Have you seen the ones where it's like just tons of cream?
What?
The mega stuffed.
Yeah, they make them. Yeah.
No.
You didn't
Mega
know that?
stuffed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. How many calories are those?
Oh my god. This is terrible. But yeah, but like my wife doesn't understand that like I will like nutty bars, Swiss rolls, any sort of chocolate. I will eat all of it immediately. Yeah. We all have huge coffees. Why? Because we love fucking coffee. We are going to drink all of it.
I particularly working overnight, so this has 5 shots of espresso in it.
Oh my god!
I drink 2 of them a day. It's a problem.
Son of a bitch.
That's great.
That is
And that's
too
where
much
it's
caffeine
been manifesting itself.
in coffee. All right. Well, I am out of questions.
Things that will
Carly
kill you first.
is out of questions. We would like to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Quick minute for you. Talk to anybody out there who's listening, struggling, needs to hear a message of hope. What do you have to say to them?
So I guess my main thing is that if you are struggling, even if you don't think you fit what an addict is or what an alcoholic is, it manifests itself in so many different ways. If you are struggling, if you are at a point where it is negatively impacting your life, your mental health, seek help. It's worth it. It's worth it to put yourself first for once. And you don't have to continue to live like that. There are ways to get better, and there are ways to escape that hellhole in a healthy and productive way.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we would like to thank our guest, Rebecca, a.k.a. Becky, a.k.a. Reba, a.k.a. Rebs, for joining us today. So here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to... Wait, real quick. Eric, how many calories?
Well, no. Here, I want to give you this. This is even better. So, the mega stuffed Oreo.
Oh, my God.
In a regular pack of Oreos, there are 39 Oreo cookies. Mega stuffed? In that same pack, 18.
Oh. So half. That doesn't seem less than half.
It's 180 for 2 cookies, apparently, so not bad.
Okay.
It's like a
So
large soda.
Yeah. All right. Here at Podcast Recovery, we're aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us once again. Go to all our social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. You can find us Google Play, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, iTunes, all those good things. For more information about us, go to podcastrecovery.com. Please help us keep the mics on because we are self-supporting. So join our Patreon. We would love that. And we love all you guys for joining the home group. But most importantly, everybody out there,
Stay safe and stay clean.